Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Traeger. Stay tuned to the end of this video to see how you can have a chance to win a Meter Plus wireless smart meat thermometer provided to us by the good folks at Traeger Grills. All right. Okay. Lift with your leg, Jeremy. No. Hey. Oh, good. Get too old for this crap. Oh boy. Sweet baby Jesus. That damn thing is heavy. I think I need to do more like shrugs or snatches or something. Whew. We are days away from turkey time. Only days away from one of the biggest turkey days of the year. So let's talk turkey. That's a whole lot of tease. It's a lot of alliteration for this early in the morning. It's too much. Let's have a little real talk here. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. You know you have all had some dry ass, plain, boring, bland turkey. It's happened to all of us. If you're saying that you haven't, you're a liar. I'm just gonna say it. Al, you had bland, dry turkey?
Every year.
Don't say every year. Every year. What about when I cook it? We're doing a cooking video here and you say every year.
Every year before you, babe.
See, every year before me. Dry turkey is the bane of Thanksgiving. Let's be honest. But we're here to fix that today. Now, the key to ending up with a tasty bird, get yourself set up right for your cook. Multiple step process. Step one is a brine. If you're not brining, this isn't an opinion. If you're not brining, you're just not doing it right. If you don't know what brining is basically a solution you're gonna soak your turkey in for 8 to 24 hours, depending on the size of your bird and the brine that you actually make. I'm not gonna include a brine recipe. You can go online, there's hundreds of brine recipes, but it's basically a whole lot of salt, some sugar usually, and then if you want, you could spice it up with different flavors, rosemary, orange peel, orange, you know, cranberries. I've seen a lot of different things. You can also buy brine, which is what I usually do if I'm being honest, just because it's easier. This year, there's one that comes with the Traeger pellets that I'm using. They actually include a brine bag in with the pellets that you can use, which is really nice because then you got your pellets, you got your brine, everything's good to go. The Traeger brine also had a thing that says add 1 cup of bourbon if you would like to. I mean, come on, of course. That's a no-brainer. If there's an option for adding whiskey, we're going there. You have to keep the turkey cold while you're brining it so you don't get food poisoning. So you have to have some method of allowing it to soak in this mixture for 8 to 24 hours while keeping it below 40 degrees. Whether that be putting it in a bag, sticking back in your refrigerator, having a container that's the right size that fits in your refrigerator, or do like I do, put it in your Yeti, put a bunch of ice in your brine solution, check it to make sure it's below 40 degrees, and let her rip, tater chip. Next thing is we're gonna spatch this guy. Whoa, pump the brakes, Ron Jeremy. Now I gotta edit that crap out, man. What's wrong with you? You don't have to do that. What do you, of course I do. YouTube, monetization, you can't say that. I'm pretty sure that's on the naughty list. You can't say but in this situation, isn't a bad word. So you can leave it spatchcock. It's not the other kind, so we're good. Whatever you say, Triple X. In any event, we're spatchcocking this bird. Why? For multiple reasons. I actually like to spatchcock turkeys and chickens a lot because it flattens them out. I think they cook a little more even when you spatchcock them. I think they're easier to work with when they're flat. And in general, I think it's a little easier to carve. I think the presentation's better. I just don't think there's a downside to the spatchcock. I don't, I think it's great. So we're gonna get this guy out of here and show you. Got to drain all the water out of the orifices. It's a little embarrassing for the poor turkey. Some brines recommend, or some people will recommend, that you rinse the turkey after you take it out of the brine because they think it makes it too salty. I personally like salty food, so I don't normally rinse mine. The Traeger brine actually does not recommend that you rinse. It just says to pat it dry to get the excess off. Now, what spatchcocking involves is basically turning your turkey upside down so you got the back of the turkey. Then you're gonna cut up either side of the spinal column here so that you can lay it flat. Now, I like to use turkey shears. Now I know you're saying you get turkey juice all over this, Jeremy, but these are poultry shears that are specifically made for cutting poultry. Take them apart, throw them all in the dishwasher after. So the fact that I'm getting bird juice all over these doesn't matter. I also always cut this little nubbin off. I don't know what they call this thing. It's like the little turkey tail. That always goes. But the sound's kind of gnarly. But you just go through here, right on either side of the spine. Then I'm gonna go right to the other side of it. You ever seen Predator when he rips the spines out of the people? You can save this. This is all good meat for like making gravy or doing chicken stock or whatever. So you can save that if you want. Basically, what you're left with now is a bird that you have to get a little rough with it. I'm not gonna lie. You have to get it, it's a little violent. I oftentimes like to make a little incision right here down the middle by the breastbone. There we go. You just put a little pressure on either side, and a lot of time you can go in here, if you break away that membrane there. There it is. There we go. And you can just pull that breastbone out. So you just make a little incision in the membrane on either side and push down until you hear it crack, and it should expose either side of this breastbone, and then you can just get in there and rip that dude completely out. Which then makes the turkey lay nice and flat like such. Can you see that? See how flat that is? So the next step to layering your flavor and helping introduce some moisture into this dry ass bird so it doesn't dry out during the cook is injecting. Now, for injecting, you're gonna need a couple things. One, you're gonna need one of these disturbingly scary looking things. It reminds me of my dentist back in the day. And you're gonna need an injectable marinade. Now, just like with the brine, you can buy it over the counter. They sell a bunch of injectable marinades, or you can make your own. It's pretty simple to make. This one I've got here is just a whole lot of butter melted into a pan with some turkey stock to add a little volume and a little more liquid. And then I'm using some of my boy Matt Pittman's dry rubs, honey bacon barbecue, because I mean, when does adding a little bit of sweetness and bacon flavor to anything ever a bad thing? And then the second one, I'm gonna put some of the stuff that I'm gonna put on the outside of the bird, his Holy Voodoo seasoning, which, what company is it? It's a hot sauce company that has the slogan, I use that shit on everything. I don't know. Whatever company has that slogan is a shame, because this Holy Voodoo, I use that shit on everything. This stuff is great. And there's also a splash of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire? Worcestershire. How do you say Worcestershire, Al?
My dad always said Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. I don't know how you say it. But a whole lot of butter, some chicken broth, a little bit of the dry rubs in there, season it up, and then some Worcestershire sauce. And that makes it nice and thin, and that's gonna allow us to inject it in this bird. You will have to forgive the framing on this part, but I wanted to get close so you guys could see what the hell was going on. All right, bird, just smack it.
You have to smack it.
You have to smack it. When you're injecting these guys, what you wanna do is and you inject every part, right? So make sure you get all the leg, the thigh, the breast, especially the breast. Concentrate on the breast, because that's the dry ass part of the chicken or turkey. So you're just gonna put it in there, give a little squeeze. And that is all she wrote. I kind of time-lapsed that so it wouldn't be such a slow process, but you just want to go in different spots, different depths, and just really make sure you get it all injected nice and evenly, and getting that good moisture and flavor up in that guy. got everything wiped off. Get some fresh gloves because, you know, salmonella. Ain't nobody trying to get food poisoning on Thanksgiving. And I got one of these pans. If you smoke stuff, you should have these. They sell them at Costco. They're just great. They're aluminum, so don't feel bad. You can throw them in the recycle as far as waste goes, but they just come in really handy for all things smoking. They have them in different sizes. I like the big ones for bigger stuff. The little bitty ones are great for pork butts and all kinds of things. We're going for the next layer of flavoring, which is we're gonna dust the outside of this with a little bit of dry rub to, again, just add a little more flavor, try to keep this thing from being seriously boring. And like I mentioned before, I'm going with the Holy Voodoo from Matt Pittman, my good man over at Meat Church. Now, I like to, when I put dry rub on stuff, a lot of times I put them in these pans because it minimizes the waste, because the extra goes in the pan and doesn't just go all over the damn place, and waste and mess. But you know, I'm not gonna go too crazy with this because we're smoking it, which is gonna be the other layer of flavor we're gonna talk about here in a little bit when we talk about how we're gonna cook it. You don't wanna go too buck wild. If you put too much rub on it, I've heard people claim that it can block the smoke from penetrating. Now, if you notice, I'm not touching the bird with this hand. I'm also gonna give this underside a little dosing. And then if you notice, I've also got a little bit of his hot honey hog. I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there just to add a little touch of sweetness and maybe a little bit of spice, just a tiny, tiny bit. We don't want an extremely spicy bird, but a little bit of spice never hurt nobody. One of the tricks that old Matt Pittman says on the channel a lot is when you're dusting stuff with dry rub, do it from high up because you get a better disbursement, which is actually a pretty good little tip. I know this looks like a lot because I'm doing it for a long time, but there's not a ton coming out of there. So, all right. Oh, good God, my nose is itching. Why does your nose always itch the most when you got stuff on your hands that you can't touch it with? Oh, that's a thing, right? Oh God, it drives me crazy. I did not use a binder or anything. Just don't think it's necessary. I'm gonna let that sit for 10 or 15 minutes to make sure it adheres real good. And we're gonna go crank up the old Traeger. Alrighty, bird is ready. And the next step is the cook. So, what is the next layer of flavors? Well, it's gonna be smoke. We're gonna smoke this bird because in my opinion, smoked bird is the best bird. It's way better than baking. Baking's out of the question for me. I also really like fried turkeys, but I still don't think, even though the texture of fried turkeys is nice and they usually stay nice and juicy, smoking them really gives them that extra layer, that extra dimension of flavor with putting that smoke on it that I just personally love, and it's usually real popular. So we're gonna throw this guy on the Traeger. As for pellets, we are using the Traeger turkey blend. Now this is the first time I've used these, but it is maple hickory artisanal hardwood blend with a hint of rosemary. Specifically made for turkey, so it's gotta be good, right? And like I said, it comes with the brine kit in it. So I got this at Ace Hardware, but they also have it on Traeger's website, obviously. Ace Hardware, where else do they sell the pellets? Anywhere you can find Traeger products, you'll probably find that turkey blend, but I've never had it before, so we'll see how it turns out. But I mean, that sounds like a fantastic blend for the turkey, and it comes with the brine kit, so it's a win-win. I do want to say a quick thank you to the folks at Traeger for sponsoring this video. As you guys know, they did send me my grill back a while ago. And I know all you suspicious people out there, you're saying, oh, of course you're smoking it on the Traeger. That's because they're sponsoring it. No, I have a Kamado offset smoker over there. Got lots of options. I was going to do my bird on the Traeger regardless of whether Traeger sponsors video or not. I think the pellet grills are like the best way to do stuff like turkeys. For a couple reasons. A, it gets you that smoke flavor that you want. B, it It's super easy to maintain the temperature. So I'm gonna do a 2-stage cook on this. We're gonna start out at a lower temperature and then raise it. Super quick and easy to hold those 2 temperatures. Not a lot of muss and fuss, but trying to, you know, keep track of where your temperature's at, added logs taken, none of that crap. You can spend more time like during the holidays, hanging out with family, drinking beer, doing what you wanna do instead of sitting next to a smoker, making sure your temperature's staying right. This guy does the same thing, keeps it quick and easy. It's one of the big things I love about Traeger and pellet grills in general. So before you guys get all suspicious, I love my Traeger regardless. We're gonna do a 2-stage cook. So we're gonna start out at a 200-degree cook. That way I can use the super smoke feature of Traeger, which allows you to get a little deeper smoke. I'm gonna smoke it for about an hour. This was about a 13-pound bird, so I don't think it's gonna take very long to cook. And then the last couple hours, I'm thinking this bird's gonna take between 3 and 4. We're gonna crank it up to probably like 325, 350 to try to roast it a little bit and get that skin a little crispy. So let's go ahead and get this guy on here. Those pellets smell good. They smell different than the normal pellets. I think it's the rosemary in there. It smells different. There is like a little hint of Christmas going on in those pellets. So that's good. I think that's gonna put some nice flavor. If you notice, I also have the, I don't know if you can see them, but I've got 2 probes in the turkey. Buy the kind of turkey that has the little just toss that shit. Those things are useless. Traeger has a really nice built-in probe function. But one of the things I really, really like are these meter probes that I purchased back a few months ago. They're wireless, and there's 4 of them. So what I did is I put 1 in the breast and 1 in the thigh dark meat area, so that way I can monitor both temperatures or both types of meat. And they have this really cool app, so I can just go in real quick and I can do meter. And then I have 2 probes. Probe 1 is in the breast, so I can go in and set my target temp. It has the preset, so I can go poultry, turkey, and then it even has breast, so I can tell it it's in the breast, and it's going to tell me the recommended temperature for that. I will start cook on that. Then on my second probe, I will go in and set that up again, poultry, turkey, but this one I put in the thigh. They're recommended a little hotter temperature, which is I usually cook my dark meat a little darker and then start cook. So now if I go out here, I've got my 2 different probes, probe 1 and probe 2, and I've got my turkey breast set to 167 and my target for my thigh set at 170. That's another thing I like about these meter probes is they measure the ambient temperature, which is pretty cool. So you get an ambient temperature reading, you get the meat temperature, and then it also does a calculation and lets you know about how long it thinks it's gonna take for your meat to be done. So I've been digging it so far. If you haven't ever seen anything about the meter, definitely check into it. Oh, almost forgot, one last thing. Almost forgot, stand by, wait. Almost forgot, very important part. Little cast iron skillet with some butter and then some seasonings in there. I'll stick this guy right in here, in with the turkey. That's gonna let that butter melt, and then I'm gonna baste that turkey about every half hour or so for probably most of the cook. Butter's in, turkey's in, temperature's on, everything's good. It's cigar and coffee time. Losing daylight fast out here. I think we're gonna be finishing this cook in the dark. I got the lights on and whatnot. It's a problem with winter. It's dark very early. Well, we've had this guy on here for close to 2 hours at around 200, 225. I actually bumped the temperature up a little bit. It was a smaller bird, so I started it out at 200. If you got a bigger one, maybe closer to 225 for, like I said, an hour to 2 hours. The timing isn't exact. What you're looking for is for that skin to start to kind of brown up, look like it's taking on some nice color. Give it some time to absorb some of that smoke. Like I said, I keep it under 225 so I can use the super smoke function. I've also been basting it about every 30 to 45 minutes with butter. Make sure keeping lots of that nice. I mean, honestly, when has butter ever been a bad thing? The more butter, the better. That's my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and crank this thing up to 350 now and cook it until our internal temperatures hit what we want, which is about like 170-ish for the dark meat and like 165 or so for the white meat. So We're gonna crank it up to 350, let that skin get a little crispy, get it nice and browned up. Give it another, keep an eye on your temperatures and everything, but usually, depending on the size of your bird, you're talking another maybe 2 to 3 hours at this point. All right, we're almost there. A little more coffee, a little more cigar. Actually, it's getting kind of dark. We might transition over to whiskey. Whiskey and cigar. Let this bird keep cooking. Turkey is done, and it smells delicious. Took about 4 hours-ish, 4.5, something like that. Can't remember exactly. I also do the instant read, kind of poke around and make sure, because you know, you could have your probe in one spot and you go over here and the temperature's a little different because of where you're at next to the bone or whatever. So I did insta read it in a few spots, and I took it off when it read about 165 degrees in the thickest part of the breast. It's going to carry over cook for another couple degrees. The breast and stuff, I don't find you really don't want to go over 170, like 165, the closer to 170 over that you go, your breast is going to dry out. So try to stick around 165 to 170 at the most. The darker meats, I don't worry about as much because they're a lot harder to dry out, especially the thighs. Almost impossible to dry a thigh out. I think it came out gorgeous. It's a nice golden brown. It's got that lovely little bit of smoke flavor to it. Let's cut into, let's get some of this guy out of the way right here. Oh yeah, that is juicy. And see, this is another thing about spatchcock that I love so much. See how easy that was? Then you got a nice little thigh leg combo right there. Just make a little cut right there. Take that guy off. And the way I like to do a breast is I like to cut down, get as close to that center line as I can. There's a piece right there. That's a good piece you can see. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Maybe I can get it on the close-up over here. I don't know if I'm on it or not, but look how juicy that is, buddy. That is delicious stuff. And I like to just take that whole breast off, like such. Now, the beauty about carving your whole breast off is then, just like with all meat, steak, anything else, it's really best to cut across the grain. And your grain's running this way. So, you know, most of the time when people carve turkey breast off that way, you're going with the grain, which is not how you normally want to do meat. So if you cut the whole breast off, then you can go in here and cut you off slices going against the grain, which is really a way better situation. And I don't know if you can see that. Man, that stuff is juicy and delicious. And you can see down in there where we got some of that injection. Oh man, see? That's a whole different thing. That is a whole different situation. That is nothing like the old mama's baked turkey. It's got good flavor. It's tender. It's juicy. I'm talking with my mouth full, which is really gross, but I don't care because I've been cooking this thing for like almost 5 hours. And hopefully, in this camera over here, I'm getting some close-ups. Hopefully you can tell just how juicy that chicken breast or that turkey breast is. It makes Thanksgiving way better not having to tolerate any cotton mouth, dry ass, bland, tasteless turkey. You serve this stuff up to your guests on Thanksgiving, and you're gonna have a problem with too many people being at your house on Thanksgiving, because that's some good shit. This is my favorite way to cook a turkey. Like I said earlier, you can experiment a little with some of the flavorings and stuff depending on the flavor profile you're going for. But if you stick with this basic technique of brining, injecting, then putting a little dry rub on the outside, putting it in a smoker, and then basting it with some butter a few times during the cook, I'm telling you, you're gonna be happy. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys found this information useful. Hopefully this helps you have a better Thanksgiving dinner, serving your guests some really awesome turkey. I hope everybody has a fantastic Thanksgiving out there. For all of you guys that are in the U.S., outside of the U.S., hopefully you have a good Thursday anyway. If you like this one, feel free to smash that like button. That always helps us out. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. We'd love to have you on board. I hope everyone has a fantastic week and a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you in the next video. Lulu, you want some turkey? Want some turkey? Oh. Dog likes the turkey too. It's delicious. If you don't like that, there's something wrong with you. Curious to see how long you guys would sit there and watch me edit. And also, I know you thought I forgot. You thought I forgot about the giveaway, and I didn't. I was just making sure that it was only going to the people that were my diehards. None of these fair weather people that stick through to the bitter end of these videos. So, I said they were gonna have a chance at the end to win a Meter wireless smart probe or smart thermometer. So we're gonna run a contest. Big thank you, by the way, to the folks at Traeger. They are the ones that sponsored this video, and they're also the ones that provided me with the Meter thermometer to give away in this competition. So big thanks to those guys. This coming Friday is Black Friday. We'll run it through this weekend to next Monday. And I'll draw a winner end of day next Monday. What you're gonna need to do is you obviously have to be a subscriber. You have to like the video. You have to do a comment, and in the comment put hashtag Team Traeger, hashtag Traeger Thanksgiving. So all you guys that are Team Other Pellet Grill Company, you're gonna have to take one for the team here and put hashtag Team Traeger in order to have a chance to win this Meter thermometer. So, subscriber, like the video, hashtag Team Traeger, hashtag Traeger Thanksgiving. I will look through the comments and randomly pick a winner next Monday, and then I'll comment and let you know you win. And make sure you keep an eye on your comment, because that's how I'm gonna contact you. So if I respond back and tell you won, get back with me through the comment. Keep an eye on Instagram also, because I'll be doing another giveaway on there. I'm not gonna tell you when, sometime in the next week. So keep an eye out. I love these things. I use mine constantly. I talked about it a little bit earlier in the video. They are fantastic. Hope everybody has a fantastic Thanksgiving. Good luck to everybody, and I'm gonna really go this time, because I gotta finish this video. This thing's like 30 minutes long.